What's up, guys? Welcome to the Hivemind podcast. It's been a little bit, but yeah, here we are. Technically, we recorded episode 3, but it was, I don't know, kind of some things were a little rough with it. But so here we are, I guess, episode 3, 4-ish.
I mean, the reason we didn't increase is because things changed the moment after we recorded it. So we're like, wow, we're already outdated. So might as well just not release it.
Yeah.
I thought it was because I
still
wasn't
release
there.
it. I mean, that's what it could have been that too. That's what I mean.
It could have been.
I don't know. Let's see. What's a lot's kind of changed. A lot's been kind of league, or not really league, but spoiled from Simon and the team, and buffs, debuffs, disables. We get some new kits, some imprint changes, and so this what do we kind of want to dive in? I mean, I know the Pantheon guys definitely have some topics they want us to kind of touch on, but are there any changes that we've seen so far that you guys kind of want to dive into? Sage, do you kind of have one you maybe want to start with, or
tell us about Sharpen? Tell us about Strong Hit.
So if you want to, we can go over Strong Hit, right? And so I made a video on Sharpen, right? And I was estimating, they said they wanted to buff Sharpen, they're aware of its weakness. And I had 5, between, is Sharpen 2 going to be 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%? And it comes out to be 30%, which is good for rider effects. I think Quetzalcoatl's Petrify is the big hallmark here of when you're attacking into Cunning, that 60% chance to Petrify is real, right? However, in terms of the damage department, it's not super great, right? I think 40% would have been the okay, I'm gonna try to bring Sharpen onto my heavy damage teams, but I think 30% is just enough where if you incidentally get it with other stuff, I think of Quetzalcoatl's ultimate again, where you're getting the attack up with the Sharpen, that's nice, but you're not going to be seeking out a Sharpen. So if you see an AoE Sharpen rare and that's all they do, that's not as highly valuable as say an AoE attack up, for example. And that, and with that being said, with the 30%, I think it's going to be hard to bring these strong hit teams to light. I don't think they're going to be as big of an impact as, say, if Sharpen was 40%. I think these teams really hinge on Sharpen until we see more multipliers to strong hit. But the one that is there, right, is obviously Precision, which guarantees a strong hit.
Yeah.
However, the only source of that we know of so far is Sizzin, and he only applies it to himself. And he has no strong hit riders, right? So if we could guarantee strong hit, if we can get Precision on our Quetzalcoatl, then hey, that's a very good buff. Yeah. But if it's only a self-buffing thing, and it's a very strong buff as well, so it's going to be hard to see these AoE versions of it, or even putting on another target. There was one more thing too. I see people making a mistake here. Precision does not allow you to strong hit a weak affinity. That was confirmed from a Friday leak a while ago when Simon was taught when we first released the Sizzin kits. So it doesn't let you strong hit a weak affinity. So you have to be still aware of affinity matchups. But I think overall, I think strong hit is on the radar. But I don't think strong hit is going to be a premier strategy that we see in the opening of the game.
Oh, I mean, I think I agreed as well. I think it's going to be one of those it's a nice buff to have if you have it, but I think the investment to try to make something work is probably going to be too high for a lot of players.
Put it on Ares and it becomes good.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. I'm really interested to see the Eternal kits. You know what I'm saying? Whenever they finally start releasing the Eternal kits, which I mean, we can talk about one Eternal kit here in a little bit, but I think maybe we see some team wide effects like that. Maybe to push it over the top, to make it more of a viable thing. But yeah, it's not something I'm not excited really about. I mean, it's nice to have, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to affect my gameplay too much.
So it'll shine, in my opinion, in those long drawn out fights like a clan boss, because then you're averaging out what your increased damage is going to be from it, right? You're going to get a bit of value out of it over time. In PvP, it's going to be one of those annoying things where you're like, oh, damn it. Like, of course he hits the 65% chance and nukes my character.
Well, I mean, the thing about PvP, right, is like you can strategically reroll to target the lineups that are most advantageous to your lineup, right? So it's like you can maximize that strong hit chance even further if it's like you see their affinity makeup versus yours. So, but
yep,
I don't know. Like I just like this. So it was like there was sharp and precision. And then we have the temporal and Jesus Christ, what
Arcane.
is the other
Arcane.
Aegis? Yeah. So essentially, it's like it's just the rework of the Alpha 3 like boss immunities, right? So, what do you guys think about? I think the Aegis debuffs.
It's kind of worse than the
Alpha.
The Alpha made you completely immune after your first instance, whereas this is like a stacking effect that then gets wiped at the end of your turn. So I don't like it feels like it's one of those things that like bosses are going to use against you and it's going to be quite potent, but you using it on yourself is like it's not going to change the whatever's happening in your team really.
The only source of it is Ame no Nabuku, right? Like that's the only source we've seen of it. And so it's like, am I gonna use my weapon slot to get access to this buff that only helps me after the relevant thing happened already?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it really depends if that application of the first stacks affects that turn meter or not, right? Like, because I did the math here, and it'll be like a 62% reduction. If that applies to if I'm doing like the AOE, like I think of what is his name, Haroon, right, doing the AOE 20% turn meter drain. If it targets that, then it's still not even good, but at least it's interesting.
Yeah.
But the way it's worded, it sounds like you get hit by the 20% drain, and then now you get this protection afterwards. And I don't think that's something I would use a weapon slot on.
I think it's if it works on like the like each instance and then kind of makes you more resilient, then it might become useful on a boss that like is doing like maybe 10 plus instances of this damage, like, and then like tiny turn meter. But like even then, if we're talking like if they're doing 10 instances of turn meter reduction, if it's like 1% and I'm reducing it, maybe we can get to a round down type of thing, right? Where we're like,
it doesn't work anymore.
Like, okay.
Well, at some point, it's going to make you completely immune to the effect, right? So, I mean, maybe in some weird boss fight or some PvP, in some PvP aspect, maybe it becomes relevant. But I don't know. To me, it just seems kind of we don't know. It's
if I'm looking at Divinity Control, I'm looking at Terrify. Okay, like that thing is like for PvP is scary, and like it does not state if it works on bosses or not. I can't imagine it does.
Well, we know the two bosses in the alpha, they were immune to turn meter increases and decreases, like total increases and decreases.
Yeah.
So
I think, but in PvP, hey, like that's turning a 1,000 into a that's like as much as we like to harp on Divinity, that's actually a significant change. Like that is a significant you're gonna take
a lot of them going from 1600 the 1600 to 24. Like good luck.
I mean, you everything of this too. If you hit a new with it, right, it actually messes up his DR. Right, he provides less DR for his team now. So there is weird cases like that where the Divinity effect matters, right? I think of Apollo as well, right? Isn't he also like giving Divinity out?
Equalizes,
equalizes Divinity, right? So you can hit him with it. And if it's a percentage based equalize, then you mess up his thing as well. So there's a bit of spice with Terrify.
Yeah, in a weird like counter sense, it also if it fills based off of your Divinity and you're a low Divinity cost unit, increasing that could then mean that you have a bigger fill that you can give to others.
Yeah,
which is an interesting thing to think about as well. Potentially, is like you want to get Terrified so that you can build more up to like. Hey,
there's a dog.
She's
terrified.
Terrified. No, she's needing attention. So it's
And I guess the other buff I think that interested us, right? Unless anyone else has something to say about Terrify, because I think it's pretty straightforward, but it's just
it's straightforward, cool. Man. It's pretty decent. I think
is Aetherburn, right? Another Divinity manipulator that if it works similar to how regular Blaze works, it can completely shut down a team's Divinity, completely. Yeah. If you have an AOE, I think YDG does an AOE Aetherburn. Was it single target?
He doesn't do any Aetherburn.
It doesn't do any Aetherburn.
Oh, he
cares about it.
Yeah, he just cares about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess Loki did that, but now he doesn't.
Shamash has a single target Aetherburn, right? On the I don't even know where it is, right? Because it's such a small part of his kit. Morgan Le Fay, actually, Morgan Le Fay could roll AOE Aetherburn, right, on the core. And then, and then now it's more potent than Lock Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something to really look into, depending on how it works in game. I mean, how we read it definitely is that it should work like a Blaze, where it will proc.
Yeah,
that could be very potent. But obviously, we haven't really seen any AOE Aetherburners since Loki. So
did Loki have an AOE Aetherburn? I don't even remember, man.
I don't know if it was AOE or not, but
I think it was single target, if I remember rightly.
It might have been. I know it was on his core, but I don't remember if it was.
That's old news. Loki's changed since then.
That's old. Well, Loki needs a few more changes. I feel like,
but.
And then I think Jay, you want to talk about one other buff, right?
There we go.
Well, I just wanted to quickly just talk back onto Terrify as well, just because I personally think this is underrated. I mean, you guys have already just said it already, but most costs, say the 1600, that's 2400 Divinity, right? Most of these champions are only really all in once per fight. I mean, if we're talking specifically PvP, right, and then you could hit with the AoE Aetherburn, then it's just going to be it's just going to be really, really good, in my opinion. But the other buff that could potentially be a bit fun is Ricochet. The only reason why I say this is because I'm having flashbacks of Zeus in Alpha. So obviously attacking a random target, then continue to chaining a new target, and each attack has a lower chance to occur. But if we're talking about Dagonet in Alpha and all of these RNG checks and these constant rolls, this could be doing quite a lot of damage just for one single buff, which I think is very, very good, especially because it's a random target. So I'm presuming if it's a single target, then it would just potentially roll onto the same target as well. So like a boss, for example, potentially, which could then be very, very good for a single target damage. But that's if it works that way or not. Obviously, I'm not entirely sure, but that would be pretty cool as well.
I think it does say a new target, which to me would imply that it has to hit someone new. But if there's like a single minion, it could go back and forth. But the weird thing is,
exactly, it'd be like ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong. But it depends how many times it rolls, right? So
well, it also doesn't seem like it depreciates in value. So whatever my hit might be is just gonna be the same, and it's just gonna go back and forth potentially.
Yeah, I think it was.
But also as well, if there's a champion, let's take Sizzin, right, for example, and you can put a Ricochet on him, and because all of his abilities are AOE, can you just imagine just bouncing? Like, that's a lot of damage.
But
then once again, that depends on, as you say, whether it's new targets or whatever, right? But it depends.
Yeah, I just think we're not quite sure. I mean, I don't think we've seen anyone with this buff yet, so we can't even infer what it might who uses it or what it might do.
Yeah, it's just pure speculation. I mean, you think Ricochet is something's going to deal damage and it's going to bounce around. How many times it bounces around, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the initial chance 100.
Thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening, and then an Olympus logo just flying around, and then I'll be happy.
It really depends. Like, does it carry like rider effects? It probably doesn't, right? It's probably just the damage. Yeah. But could you imagine if it did carry rider effects, right? And all of a sudden you have like Raw, where it's like Raw's procking a bunch of blazes all over the enemy team. Like,
yeah, that would be pretty good if it did carry the rider effects. I think that otherwise, if it's just a flat damage or whatever else, then I think it's just kind of like, all right, I mean, more damage. I mean, no one's going to turn down more damage, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's like, you know, maybe it's a little better, maybe it's not. I mean, time will tell, right? So
it really depends who has access to this buff. Is it like AOE? Is it single target? Is it a self buff like we see with precision? It really just depends on the access to it, right?
Yeah,
it does feel like it's going to be one of those self buff. Like it just looks to me like there's no way they can give this to your entire team. Like,
I think we're just gonna have a lot of chain lightning effects or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, I hit somebody really, really, really hard, and then it just goes bing, 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 bing across, you know, other people. So
I mean, you know, you know, an edge case for this row, right? What if this is a boss buff, and you can do like an ISIS steal and spread,
and then give it to your whole team.
Because when I'm thinking about these single target buffs, right? Like, my brain always goes to like, how can I get this single target buff on my whole team through like a buff spreader or something like that? So, you know, but you know, and like, you know, we heard from Simon that not all buffs can be extended.
Yeah, that's probably one of the big changes, right?
Yeah. Like, so, I wonder if these type of like a precision and a ricochet, like if these can be extended, that like that's, you know, you could become very potent as well. Like, extending precision just seems like it could be crazy to me. You know?
Especially under like, you know, World Shatterer, right? Or you know, where you're doing 10% more damage for each strong hit you do. Like, that precision is a spooky buff, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. This makes Ares good again. We're bringing him back, baby.
No,
I feel like even Ares, if I gave Ares 100% striking chance, he's only pretty good. He still has a niche, right?
But like, he's not the top 5, right? Which is crazy, right? Like,
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? So the biggest change, of course, is we saw our first Eternal kit. You know, Hell is in the mini game. She's choosable if you would want to start with an Eternal. I mean, if that's your jam. Yeah, it's like, if that's your jam, by all means. I don't recommend starting with her, but hey, you know, to each their own, right? You know, I do like the meme that they kind of got it going on with the whole Hell Hades combo thing. But I mean, if you're wanting to build chaos and go down that order tower, by all means, you know, have at it. But I don't know. Out of all these changes, has it affected? This is what a lot of the guys in the Pantheon wanted us to talk about. Is like, so has it affected your thought process and your approach for the mini game and heading into early access? And so for me, it had nothing's changed. Like, I'm going straight Heimdall. Heimdall is it. So as a spender, I'm probably going to be spending probably more than a lot of people combined. But it's either I'm going Wukong Factory or I'm going Heimdall. Vivian's in the conversation, but like, that's it. Like, the long-term benefits that all three of those give account to somebody that's spending pretty heavily, in my opinion, greatly outweighs any other god that is currently being released right now for the RGB units. So I don't know. What are you guys? What are y'all's thoughts after everything? I know, Sage, you got Hell locked in, and so we're sticking with Hell. But you also, I know you have 2,000 summons. So
I have 2,090 summons, and I'm gonna hold them until February 19th, because as the thing I've been telling people the whole time, everything is subject to change. These guys are gamers. They're gonna want to make big changes. They're gonna see a vision. They're gonna want to go and make a sweeping change. And so, like, I've always been a proponent of holding them even after we knew the kits. I've been holding the entire time. The only reason I have Hell locked in is because she was my first legendary. Right? It's just by happenstance that the one that I locked in happened to go Eternal. However, my plan has always been the same. I've always been a big proponent of pick what you like more than pick what's good, right? because at the end of the day, if the game's not enjoyable, then why play it? So I am on the Grendel train, not because I think Grendel might not even crack top 10, but I love Grendel, man. I love Grendel. And then also like Raijin, right? He's just Shinigami 2.0. And so I just like that vibe, right? And so I've always going to be a vibe player going in, and
some off meta picks, right?
Not even off meta picks. I just want to enjoy the game, right? I don't like Heimdall is great too, and like, but I really like the interest of Hell's old kit now more than her new kit. I think that you're gonna have a hard time getting these shades. I think if you get a shade, you probably have won, like in a PvP setting. But I think the hoops you have to get through to get a shade will weaken your team in other ways that'll be like, what is it called? Exploited by your opponent. So that's why I don't think she's gonna be like an instant like PvP monster. I think she'll have her moments. I think when you win with her, it'll feel really good. But I think those wins will be few and far between.
Well, I see what you're saying. Like for me, like we talked about this previously before the podcast, right? And so, for me, Hell she's a win more character, right? In PvP, like the core is great. You're getting cursed, you're getting the 50% reduction on healing and everything, which is, I mean, anytime you can reduce healing in PvP, it's great, right? I don't know if matches are going to last long initially in like this first season, to where the ultimate's going to be that big of a thing, especially with only, I think we have four units in the PvP roster in Simon's video. But like for me, like I said, I look at it like I see her as an Eternal, and I'm a little let down, right? Because I look over to Guan Yu and it's like, oh well, let's look at the basic. It's the exact same, only 55% modifier for the attack is the difference. And you look at the core, and it's literally the exact same core as Guan Yu, just instead of Drain, you get Curse with only a 5% attack modifier. Yeah, they have the basic, the basic stats and, all the other stuff that comes with being a legendary, right? But it's like, I don't know. I was wanting her to maybe do more, and it's like for an Eternal, I feel like she's kind of. I like the previous Hell more than I like the new Hell, even though I do like the shade mechanic. I think that is going to be like that design space right there has some massive, implications like further down the road of what can be. I mean, it'd be too broken if you take off the whole affects bosses and minions, or if it affected minions. Like I think that it's too broken, but I don't know. Where's that balance? Where's the balance? But
I have the balance.
You have the balance, Nine. What is the answer, Nine? Tell us what the answer is.
Sage wisdom will be here. So I think from community like sentiment, most people like New Hell, and like I did too, right? I looked, I was like, wow, max HP, a big hitting core, this new cool mechanic where I revive people, and I'm like, this is all awesome in its own individual parts, and then I'm like, okay, so my core's putting me as a boss killer, but my ult doesn't work on bosses or minions, and I'm like, okay, so like
he's pretty confused.
Like we all still use Guan Yu, right? We don't care about Guan Yu's core is ult, and we still use it because of that max HP skin, and she's gonna be better, right? She's gonna be more survivable, do more base damage, right? Before you attack in this max HP damage. She has a slightly worse debuff, generically speaking, because it's less increased damage, less sustain, which we both know are very good early on. What I would do, I think her core just needs a little bit more oomph somewhere, right? I think it just needs it's a little too basic for an Eternal Legendary in my head, right?
It's a legendary Guan Yu. I mean, let's just call it spade a spade, right? It's literally a legendary Guan Yu. You just train, you just exchange Drain with Curse, right?
Tell the people my solution first.
Wait, what was your solution? I don't remember.
You make if you want people to die, and so you can shade them, you need to make the core a single hitting 800% attack. I don't think that's a bad idea.
As a Slayer, but now how do you? Then you'd have to go and rebalance all the other Slayers, right?
No, you don't.
No.
You don't. But I mean,
she doesn't have any attack scaling in her kit. She doesn't have any damage scaling in her kit. Give her that upfront punch so she can actually make shades.
Yeah.
Well, I think because they showed the awakenings, right? The awakenings were shown.
Yeah, they showed the whole.
Yeah.
The whole
Not a fan of Awaken 5. If I'm trying to Awaken 5, Hell isn't a legendary. Anytime she kills something with a basic, just turn it into a shade. Like, don't any conflicts. Like, literally, just turn it into a shade.
The unfortunate thing, so like I'll go over my solution a little bit, but I agree with the A5, and I think something that even how Hades mentioned, someone mentioned it to him in the Discord, and he acknowledged it was like potentially counterintuitive, is that her block revive on her A5 stops her ult from working. So not a fan of that. How I would do it in a similar way to what you said, Pone, is like I don't know if I do the A5 just give a shade, but I would make her ult have a similar effect to a Shamash ult, where your first kill procs your ult. So and then I think you could even combine this with Sage's thing. Maybe not an 800% multiplier.
No, you guys are cowards. Everyone's a coward. 800% is fine. It's an eternal legendary's core. It's okay.
Give her this big single target core that can then, because we were talked about the Hell Hades thing, right? And this is kind of what we theory crafted a little bit about how we would adjust her kit. Is so a few things. One, I like this kind of. I'll give a whole kit suggestion, and I'll give what I would do for the solution for the boss and minion thing, because I think that's a bit of a separate solution. But yeah, make her core single target, make it hit really hard. You combine this with Hades, who targets your highest attack champion. So let's say you go into arena here, right? You've got How's attack arena bonus each. You want her to be used in arena, right? That's what that says to me. And you got this curse immediately from Hades, and Hell follows up with this big core, which then activates her ult and immediately gets you a shade up. If you can outspeed and get that damage dealer down on the enemy team, that solidifies you that win. And I think that's a very cool strategy, actually, to like be like, okay, I see this team. It's like it's a protect the X, right? Protect the Ares, protect the whoever, and you take advantage of that protect, and you just go in and you get this big nuke off. You get a shade immediately. Now, max HP. You want it to be good for bosses too in PvE. Just have her ult instead of shading like as a permanent effect on bosses. You just revive them. They make one attack. The minions go back down. Period. Like it's a high cost Divinity ult, and because I imagine the fear is these minions are probably going to have potent debuffs or effects that are riders on top of their basic, right? They're also going to be more statted than you might think, right? As maybe even more statted than your heroes, because they need to survive your heroes, at least for a turn or two, maybe. So like, give them just you bring them back up, they hit once, similar to our old ult, right? With like a confuse to kind of get one off, and then they go back to being dead. And that way, like, you have a little bit of a balance where you're not getting the full benefit. You can't just cycle her and get all these basics off for the minions. You give her the PvP use that she needs, and sorry, my dog is.
The dogs are going crazy today.
She's very upset about the Hell Hades thing. She was waiting on the wings.
Oh, man.
And then that gives her a use with this Hell Hades. And we talked about the Law Sage. I think her star-crossed lover might be Hades, you know?
I mean,
you got a little bit of Hell Hades.
Maybe, yeah, because we got a bit of lore leaked in the dude, the Hell Hades, that'd be actually so funny. Someone commented that in my videos too, like, what happens if it's Hades? Like that'd be it'd be a little on the nose, but it'd still be pretty cool. So I'm down.
Yeah, so that's my proposal. Is you make her her core single target. You make her ult work on minions, but only for a single revive, and then it works the same other ways for wave content, and then potentially. I would, if that doesn't feel powerful enough, because we love power, right? You know, maybe add in a curse appreciation. So you can maybe get her to get curse 3 on a single target and maybe extend it so you get that consistency. Could be really cool as well, to make her really be like, I'm going to stop you from getting these shields. You know, if I'm focused on you, you're not getting anything and you're dying. So that's my proposal.
I mean, I think it's good. I think another thing that, you know, another avenue where she's going to be really strong would be in like that, you know, that order tower when you're using your chaos units. Like, I mean, because we've all played many gotchas that had the tower. You just hit that one that one wave of, you know, like 130 or something, and all of a sudden it's like, well, even in the caverns, like the double ISIS, you know, super defender wave, where it's like, well, if you don't immediately kill them, then they just have 54,000 mens, and then you just can't win, right?
Yeah.
And so she'll give the inevitability to, you know, to stuff like that. So that's
because a lot of those waves, right, you could take out 1 or 2 units. It was just that what you couldn't break through the core once they got rolling. But you know, all of a sudden now you have an extra unit to help break through the core. That's really potent. In this like tower in this, and I say tower wave content because like waves going up to bosses are hard, but usually they're designed around like you can eventually just boom boom get through them, right? But you know, we've seen this in a Doom Tower in Raid, in a what's the tower called in Seven Knights?
I forget what it's called.
Infinity Tower or something.
Yeah, not worth remembering is what it's called. Yeah.
All of these towers, they scale exponentially, so that they you cannot just one shot the wave. You need to control them and actually like work through them. And
they just out level you, right? It's like your characters are stuck to level 60 and they're 130, right? And so it's like, you know, there's no other way. You're just outstatted, right? So it's like, but
overall, I like the individual pieces of Hal. I just don't like her combined kit. And her passive, I think, is interesting. The way I think we all read it is that it's only going to work on things that are like turn meter boost. So, or divinity boost in the case of her awakening. So it won't work on just like your generic turn meter fill, your generic divinity fill from your initiative, your generator, stuff like that.
Yeah, it won't be from speed. It'll be from like when you like Quetzalcoatl gives you a team boost, right?
Exactly, like a turn meter boost or a divinity boost, which we haven't seen massive numbers for those, but it could make a difference in some speed tunes. But you know, we saw that without her being awakened, it doesn't seem to persist through waves, and that hurts. And that was a big bombshell, because I think that kind of sums up our thoughts on Hal. Unless you had something, James, before we move on to that about Hal, or if we kind of just summed it up, because I think we distilled most of our thoughts down.
I think we pretty much we beat her with a you know, beat her like a dead horse. Legendary Guan Yu with a new mechanic and a new little passive. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fan, but she's useful. Like if my account happens to, you know, go the chaos route, I'm definitely not gonna be upset if I somehow pull her. But you know,
justice for Slayers.
I put it this way: I think there's a lot better Slayers that are out there in just the RGB.
I mean, she's competing with Zeus.
Yeah,
like Eternal Legendary, like, you know, like you look at Hell's kit and then look at Zeus's kit, and then you tell me that they are the same, like they are on the same level. Like they're just not. Like Zeus has that extra turn mechanic, and he has the AoE bring in the team with, you know, and then his awakenings I think gave him like sharpen as well, and then he gets attack up when his all like.
I mean, even his multiplier, right? He had the 600 single into the 420 or something AoE.
Yeah.
So he even had a more potent single target, and I wouldn't even mind to see that, like where she had like a big hit single target with a spread, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is I remember Zeus, we talked about this. Hell has no attack enhancers in her kit. While Zeus has his passive, right? Has his attack up, he has sharpen, he has when he defeats an enemy, he gets attack and critical damage. So like, you know, when you're looking at Zeus as the premier Slayer here, and at the same rarity you have Hell, it's not even close to the quality of power that they have.
Even look at YDG, right? He the self attack up, the 30% reduced damage taken, the 30% increased damage dealt.
Yeah,
you know, and his cooldown was bugged, so he hits even more frequently. You know, so.
Yeah,
and I wasn't a big fan of him, but you know,
I like YDG, man, because he will eventually like and she is the only Slayer, even at the rare level, that does not have some kind of damage scaling, right? Like even Icarus increases his attack, right? The starters, they have their cycling of core and ultimate, right?
And increase on their imprint, right? And their passive.
And on their imprint, yeah, thank you. I knew there was something I was missing. She's the only person, and I think the Shade is supposed to fill that role of, like, the damage amp. But, like, it's such a hard ass to get that first kill when like yeah,
a lot of these conditions, like we've seen it a lot in the design, right? These conditions to kill an enemy, are like infinitely harder to fill, infinitely harder, because when you're talking about even like and a lot of these effects are actually on slayers with AoE focus, right? So you're like, if I'm AoEing an entire group down and then you're giving me an effect based off of the kill that doesn't persist through waves, like it just is gone. And I get that it's supposed to work on bosses when you nuke down the minions, but then it's like, well, give me a little bit of oomph, give me a little bit of something.
How many bosses have minions though, man? Like,
we don't know.
We're still waiting for boss kits, right?
Fafnir didn't. Golden Guardian didn't. I mean, the Daimyo does, and we know that the Hag has the things, but like everyone talks about bosses having minions. Bosses, we don't know, man. If it's only those two bosses, I don't think the Ascension boss is going to be that difficult. Where you need to.
We know Kronos. I mean, we've seen at least the initial part of Kronos, but
he didn't have any minions. I didn't see any.
He didn't have any minions
that we saw. We saw. I mean, you never know, but it's definitely one of those to where, like, even looking in the future, like when we get rated arena, right? Like, how many times you're gonna be playing somebody, and normally after you've killed like their Slayer, or like you've killed like 1 or 2 units, they just quit. Like, they're just gonna forfit, right? And it's like you just go to the next round. Like, you're almost never going to get, Hell's ultimate off, in a truly competitive, high end PvP. It's like you're just like, all right,
when
you
your
won this
control
one. Go to the
deck
next
starts
one.
working, your opponent forfeits. Like, no, let me resolve 50 more times.
It's like, that's the best about CEDH. It's like, oh well, I'm going off on turn 2, but let me spend the next 30 minutes, trying to create the loop so I can show you that I've won the game. And it's like, no one's going to sit there for it. But
I don't know. Non-deterministic is it control deck that we have to actually play through to see if I win. Yeah.
Good old VV, man. So we'll see.
On the health thing, I wanted to add one more.
One more thing? Like, okay, Jesus. All right, here we go.
Just beat her up.
In my, I would just remove the defense down too. If we're talking about max HP, it doesn't scale it, so it's scaling half of her kit. Like, just get rid of it. Do the thing where it works on minions once,
or just gives shades out. Like, I think you just lean into the shade mechanic, man. Like, I'm not a fan of the Awakenings, but I think they could be revamped to like really make her like feel like, hey, this is an Eternal Legendary, which I think. Because realistically, we saw what Eternals look like in Alpha. Pretty decent. Some of them are kind of lackluster, but if this is our first post-Alpha balance patch Eternal right out the gate, did not do it for me. Like, it is not. And it's not being. Trying not to be too, critical, but it's just kind of like. It's literally a legendary Guan Yu with a cool mechanic that really isn't leaned into.
It's the synergy of it, right? I think all of her pieces are pretty good, like except for her core, which is like that's fine. Like, but her pieces don't synergize together in a way that feels coherent, and we need to marry those things to make them useful, without being game breaking on one end, right? But this game is so complex. There is going to be a lot of things that will break the game, but it's the act of having multiple things in that level of broken is how you actually keep the balance in a game this complex. You can't just have one thing that stands above, as like the superhero, the Superman above all else. You need to have 15, 20 options, because then that's how the meta shifts within itself, right? You find counters with other OP tactics, and then you start adjusting to each other, right? I like the idea, like I like the design of Shade. I really do. I really like this idea of it. But yeah, like it just doesn't marry with her kit. And I think we've given some good options, and it's like I see the direction. And we're just trying to help get it to a place where we like realize this vision in a way that feels like coherent. And we've seen a lot of that with some of the kits recently, where like they've changed and actually have become more coherent, right? I would say, even though I'm not personally a big fan of Drac, it is a more coherent kit, and now has like a goal of this feeding into each other. So I just liked him having that like reflect and stuff. It was cool to me. But yeah, like it's more coherent. Ra, with it's definitely more coherent now.
Yeah.
So like leaning more into this, I think will be great. And I'm excited to see more of these kits and give more feedback,
Oh, for sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like I don't think any of us went here. It's like, oh, she has to be absolutely broken because of X, Y, Z. It's like it's okay if it's okay if a god is not super top tier, or going to end up being like a meta god. Like that's perfectly fine in the grand sense. Like if they're going, and it's also like if they're going to go the route of like making it super synergistic with others, so that you have those different team comps. Like she does work with like Hell Hades or whatever else. It's that's cool. It's cool design space and everything else. But it's like I don't know. I just look at the overall. Like it's like if this is where we're starting, like I think some of our RGB units are just going to be strictly better than Eternals, and it's going to be it's going to be really bad to. Go ahead.
Eternal Defenders, right? Compared like we've got some really good RGB here, but like you've got Sphinx and Horus who are like they're really in the contention with those top spots, right? And they should be, and I'm sure they're going to even get a bit of a balance pass to make them even more potent, right? And that's where we want to be. And I think Sage, you've seen it. Like the Slayers are just a little like. They're scared, man, and I get the fear. I get the fear.
Yeah,
but listen, I will not be happy for anything less than 100% attack on a single target on the core. Anything less will not make me happy. Same thing with the Raijin, right? They haven't released his multiplier yet. Anything less than 300, I'm not happy.
Yeah. Well, we kind of like jumped into hell, but even after talking all this, has any of these changes affected who you're still going with? I mean, are you kind of still in the Heim Daddy camp with pretty much everybody?
The top three for me haven't changed, right? For me, it's still Vivian, Quetz, and then Heimdall. I don't think you'll be mad at getting them. I think we talked about when like all the kits got released, like Svarog, Athena kind of pushed up a little bit Apollo. I for you, Rob, honestly, I think you're undervaluing Apollo a little bit for a spender. Because I think Apollo, because you want to go Namsaru, and he is the Namsaru generator.
1,000%. He definitely is. Yeah, it's I am all in for like right now. I am Heimdall, Namsaru, and then a Sun Wukong imprint because Tian Long got nerfed into the ground, right? So it's
the imprint wasn't. It's so neat. It's good, but it's so niche that like finding a use for it is going to be harder than using it. I feel like.
I mean, true, but I think another weapon is like I like the long term implications of a Makahito. Sucks for the minigame. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be one of those like who cares about having it at launch? I'd rather have Forge Fire, Excalibur, Namsaru to start the game to progress through.
Yeah,
but for the long term, you got to kind of give an honorable mention to Makahito because it may end up being one of the best in the game once we're like a season in. You know what I'm saying?
And let's do our quick like picks because I know we want to do like what our actual like strategies are, but I want to note I want to come back to the Makahito like A10, the leveled up weapons, and talk about kind of like tier lists and like criteria like briefly because like I know a lot of people ask like why is your tier list different from this guy or why do you rate it like we'll talk a little bit about this but for me and then we go to Jay Nezzy, Heimdall, Forged Fire, Wukong. I think Forged Fire, Excalibur's good, you're just not going to get much value out of it early. It's not consistent on auto, which makes me like dislike it more. Forged Fire is going to give me it's going to give me that really early game boost so that I can keep my Guan Yu alive, even if I build him tanky. And then I can put it on anyone, right? I can, if I don't want to put it on Guan Yu, and then I'm probably going to, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more, but like, we talked about the Golden Bow Wukong is going to be a pretty long-term staple for a lot of people. So, but yeah, that's my three. I wouldn't be mad if I got a Vivian. She's just a more offensive focused, and I think Quetz is a very safe pick. My problem with Quetz, and Lyco's not here to bully me, so I'll say it anyway.
Yeah, get it in now because that is definitely a conversation.
I think Quetz is very strong. But I value, and I know like Sage, you kind of with me here and Pona as well. Like I value things that are like very unique that very few people have. And what Quetz has that's unique is he has his like permanent speed increase and like his petrify on his A1. But everything else, like healing, buffs, we've seen it on everyone's kits, right? Turn meter boost, we've seen it on a lot of people's kits. What we haven't seen on a lot of people's kits is AoE retaliate and buff reflect. And those are very potent to me, like very potent. I use potent a lot.
He's the only one that we know of, right? Like, I mean, who else gives team wide retaliate?
Yeah,
and you know, intercept and all. I mean, dude, it's
like he's the defensive package with like intercept, which is such a huge buff, and on top of that, he has buff reflect, and it's not he doesn't need to do anything for it to take place. Someone else can buff your team.
Yeah,
like that's the big thing. It's like it's just there.
Well, I mean, look at the turns like with everything that he gives, and then every single boss is going to have rank 3. You know, it's like rank 3 debuffs, and it's like the amount of a momentum swing that offers when that gets reflected back to the boss, and it's like,
I mean, we did it to Fafnir. Like,
I mean, I still don't
multiple imprints into it. Right, we invested Balk and Pandora imprint and Dracula to reflect all of these debuffs. Uptime.
Yeah, I just don't see any like. Talking about like clan, you know, I won't say clan boss, but Pantheon boss like numbers and everything. I don't think you reach the upper threshold consistently without Heimdall. Like we're talking like the upper echelons. Like we're doing like with a 10.08 non-million damage. Like that's not you know, it's any of these bosses that are most of them. I mean, a lot of them from what we've seen for the most part have at least some sort of AoE mechanic somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that damage that you get to, that extra damage you get to do, plus any buffs or debuffs or potential disables or buff extension. Like there's so much stuff that the retaliate
A1s, and like, the fact almost every A1 in the game has a rider. Like,
they're so good.
Or basic, sorry, not A1, basic. Let me clarify my wording. Like almost every basic has, it has a buff, a turn meter increase, in Vivian's case, right, a divinity cost decrease.
Yeah.
All of these things that will then apply when you retaliate. Like basics are strong. Basics are really strong.
Yeah.
Max HP, right, is the big one that we're going to use in the early game.
Oh yeah. It's like I said, it's definitely one of those like. As of right now, I have yet to see anything that gives statistically more benefit than a team-wide retaliate. And until something gives me something that mathematically rivals that, I can't sit here and not recommend it to somebody, especially anybody that's going to be free to play, because you're just not going to be able to make up those buffs and everything in the aggregate. You just can't. From what we've seen, it does not exist. So why not, if you get lucky and you do get a Heimdall, I mean, don't get me wrong, everyone's on the Savrog train. It's great. If you want to be defensively and everything else, like that's fine. But long term in your account, doesn't matter if you're free to play or a spender, it is what it is. Like I know a lot of people in the community, some CCers are gonna be like, oh no, that's horrible advice. Pick your Heimdall. If you get Heimdall, pick Heimdall. You're not
any CCer that thinks picking Heimdall is an awful choice. I'm going to say this needs to reevaluate what they value in the game, because like it's okay to say like, hey, I value Svarog more, but to say that hey, picking Heimdall is a mistake is crazy. Like I think that is you can't say that. Like Heimdall just does way too much and way too much good stuff. Yeah. I think that's going to lead into something we talked about earlier was, when you talk about tier lists being different, everyone values different stuff, right? I value offensive momentum, right? I value CC. So when you talk about, what did I use to climb to the bottom, right? I use Slayers, I use Disruptors, right? I didn't do the double defender thing. I did this very offensive train, right? And I CC'd the problem mechanics, so that's how I interacted with it. Some people don't like to play that. It's a very manual way to play. Some people just want to play this more auto way, right? And so when you see that, make sure that it's everyone's opinion. We're speculating about a game that's not out yet, by the way, right? And so just make sure that your values align with their values when you're looking at their tier list, right? Because if they don't, you're gonna be like, well, why do you think Svarog is so good? Why do you think Heimdall is so good? You know?
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. And of course, we gotta always caveat with
I want to let Jay Nezzy speak. I need. Let's go on this. Like, let's let Jay Nezzy give his basic picks. I want to hear my voice. I feel bad for my man. I feel bad.
Yeah, no. Look,
what are you picking?
So much to cover, you know. To be fair, so but you're gonna be surprised to hear that my pick from the minigame is actually going to be Shinigami.
My man.
No, so I've currently got Svarog locked in. Yeah, we've kind of talked about Svarog already, but I'm doing exactly what Sage is doing right now. I am holding all of my Aether Stones. I am patiently waiting, and I am pulling for Heimdall. You know, I'm jumping. Well, not to say jumping on the bandwagon, but literally, as Pawn said as well, the team wide retaliate. Like for me, for like say like for low spenders or free to play players, right? You simply cannot go wrong with Heimdall. You know, but then that is equally viable to say other champions. You know, like we've already touched on, like Quetz, for example, or Svarog and other champions like that. But for me, I just personally just rate Heimdall just in general. I just love his character and everything like that. But that's just a personal, like as Sage was saying beforehand, just pick what you want to play with, right? Have fun, whatever. You know, maybe it helps that I hit the quintillion smacker in the alpha with the but regardless of that, I mean, that's not happening anymore. The amount that Heimdall offers to you, I mean, I know his aura changed now to arena, but either way, like regardless, he's still offering so much. And then, you know, as for imprints wise, of course, it's just Wukong. You know, I was going to test out the Tianlong, but like Pawn's already said, it's kind of been, you know, the imprint's kind of been tinkered around with, and I'm, you know, obviously leaning towards Wukong. It's always a safe pick. Shout out to Lyco, because I know he would always say honourable mention. And then as for weapon wise, you know, as you said, like 9 with the Forge Fire, it's a great pick. But I've currently got Excalibur. But like you said, the thing is, you know, unless they change anything major, I think Heimdaddy is the way forward, personally. Yeah. And also just with the starter champs, just to touch on them again, you know, I'm taking Guan Yu every single time. I think he's just too good not to take. I mean, come on, enemy max HP damage, you know, and then having the Heimdall to keep him alive as on top of that. I mean, you're pretty much set, like just with your starter and then getting that from the mini game. But equally, I'm not saying that you have to pick Heimdall. Like you know what I mean. This is your ultimate pick, right? You got to get this champion. You can take whatever you want. You know, there's multiple tier lists. You know, look at the Discord servers, and you know, or look at the, you know, in the Godforge community on the in the actual Godforge server itself. You know, you can find multiple takes, and you know, like Sage, you said as well, that loads of people value different things. Like, what is your type of play style as well? You know, that can also dictate your pick from the mini game. Of course, obviously, you have to pull the specific champion you want. So obviously, that makes it a bit of a caveat. However, if you are aiming for a specific champion, you know, you can't really go wrong with the big Heimdaddy. You know, and I think that I'm not trying to jump on a bandwagon or anything. I just think he's too good not to pick.
He's just that guy, you know,
and he is him. He is him. He has infinite aura. Right?
There is really some security that we've seen his kit be changed. In my opinion, like, I feel more comfortable now that we've seen his kit change and him receive a little bit of a nerf and a little bit of a buff in other ways. That makes me more confident that he's not going to get a drastic sweeping change. Yeah. You know, obviously everything's still subject to change. But the fact that they looked at him, they reevaluated him, and showed that to us makes me more confident.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have no problem being the devil, just being the bad guy and being like, hey, if you're not picking Heimdall, you're doing yourself a massive disservice, regardless of tier list or not. Like the mathematical advantage that Team-Wide Retaliate gives you. If somebody disagrees, by all means, I would love to sit down and debate it for as long as you want to, and I would love to sit there. And I would love to sit there and prove to you how you are wrong in every aspect of this game.
Yeah, DM Pone Cakes. Why?
Oh,
you don't like Heimdall?
Right? Oh my god, dude! Because ultimately, like that's oh Jesus. Well, I mean, I'll put it this way: it's like it's at some point, it has to be there is an answer, right? There is a meta, but at the end of the day, man, if you want to sit there and pick an epic and you just like this character, play attrition in gacha games is so high, man. Like the amount of players that are going to be playing after a month is that's going to be Fateless's biggest issue, right? Is trying to keep players involved. So it's like play whoever realistically play whoever you want. Everyone's subject to change, but I mean math doesn't lie, man. I mean the numbers don't lie, and it's like I said, we're gonna stand on a soapbox. Like it's the reason why pat ourselves on the back. And if it rubs people the wrong way, so be it. But the reason why we did so well in the Alpha 3 is like we had numbers on everything. You know what I'm saying? It's just as of right now, kit-wise, there is nothing in this game that gives as much advantage as Team-Wide Retaliate. And that's just from a pure design standpoint, from being in game dev for over 10 years. Like it's the fact that it's, to my knowledge, only on one champion. Cool. Like you're going to want him at some point. So
that's very good.
We'll see. But
I think one thing that you asked us about the change, like what meta changed our minds. Nothing really has changed my mind. Qianlong is no longer in my top 3 imprints. It's still usable if you have it and you can't get like the other 2 stayed the same. So Morrigan and Wukong. We all picked Wukong. We're aggressive little boys here. Okay,
we're little gremlins, right?
Yeah, we love. Like the Morrigan is gonna have a very strong place in the game. She's probably gonna, you might. I don't think you'll ever need her on every team, but you might want her on every team, at least a print. The fact that it's 50% to me is the thing that draws me back from needing it on every team, just because if I need something, I need consistency. Right, and what you might be hearing that and being like, well, Wukong's at 25%. Yeah, but it's also like the effect it gives is so potent, and it's quite frequent.
You get a cheat death and a 25% chance to extra damage. I mean, it's if you played the alpha, like we all know how broken Dagonet was, right?
Yeah,
which I'm pretty sure was not coded. It was not coded correctly because that wasn't what was it. It was just a guaranteed, right? So for the most part,
25% or something.
Listen, everyone was saying that my Dagonet passive. I counted for like over 100 runs. My Dagonet passive actually worked perfectly normally.
Yes,
when I ran the numbers, it worked fine. So like for some people, it didn't though. And I watched it. I was, we all had our streams open with each other, and like I was like, yeah, that guy's doing way too much. And then when I'm doing it, I'm like, oh, he's doing pretty normally, Well, like let's because we're getting up to an hour. Let's get on to like tier lists. I just want to do a tier list.
We could probably do an overall tier list. I kind of want to talk to there's a lot of Pantheon members that like shot a bunch of like questions and really wanted our thoughts on.
I'll do like a 30-second tier list PSA. That's what I want to do.
All right, go ahead.
So if you're looking at tier lists, okay, the only thing I ask of you, if a person cannot explain why they have made their choices, don't listen to it. Okay?
Yeah.
Even if what they say might not align with your values, that's what a tier list is about. Everyone has their own values. Us as a collective do not value revive very highly because we think if you're already dying, you're gonna die again.
You've already lost.
Value it quite highly, right? And that's the difference in why some of our tier lists might have an ISIS in an A or a B tier versus others have it in an S tier. Right, and we try and when we put out a tier list, we try and explain what our system is and how we're ranking them based off of what we value highly. Valuing unique mechanics, valuing generic power, these type of things. If someone cannot explain to you, and like, it's okay if someone's like, I did a tier list based off of beards. I loved Adam's video on a beer list.
Yeah,
of tiers.
they're great.
And I'm like,
the waifu tier list, those are amazing, dude. Like all the different beards, it's all great.
And if that's the one you want to follow, it's great. Just make sure that they can explain it to you and that you understand how they're explaining it. That is my PSA to all the people asking me, like, which tier list is correct? Like, look at all of them and look at what their criteria is and figure out what your criteria matches. Right? Well, that's the important thing.
Well, so I treat tier lists kind of like the news, right? It's like you kind of want to get news on both sides. Like, get all the information you can and then make an informed decision for yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's basically what it boils down to. Tier lists are opinion based, and you know what they say about opinions, right? Everyone has one.
Everyone has one.
Yeah, so it's opinions are like what. So, but with that, let's kind of do some quick little like rapid fire. I guess we'll go to the first one, right? So let me scroll down. Peace Frog. Can we address the topic of are 56 buffs too many? And so I personally, I don't think, I mean, if you play Raid, I think what Raid has like considerably more. I mean, I don't know. We can talk about buff bloat, but I don't think it's that big of an issue. Worst case scenario, you have your tooltip, but even then, it's like, I think the only thing that it really boils down to is keeping track of like disables. But I don't know. I don't see it as an issue. But I mean,
it's for me, it's a lot for a game launch. You'll learn them over time. Like there are very few debuffs that I've seen where I'm like, you need to know about this, and the ones that I have seen, you'll know about it because the people will be like, you need, I can't wait for, Sage's video to say, you need to know about this debuff. You need to know about Terrify, and then you'll learn those, and then like, you'll learn the other ones.
To jump in. People are saying there's a lot of buffs in game and debuffs, etc., etc. Let's take a game like League of Legends or Dota, right? There's 150 champions, well, probably more now, to be fair, in the roster. And to be competitive there, you need to know every single ability of every single champion and how much damage they're going to do, X, Y, Z. And like you just said, Nine, the easiest way to do that is just to play the game and it will just come naturally to you.
Yeah.
You could sit and read, of course, like every single one and be like, this does this does this, blah, 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 blah. But, eventually you'll just get the hang of it. You pick it up and if worst comes to worst, you just click on the little inspect and then you kind of know where you're at.
Well, I mean, I think the point that you said, I think the point that you said there is like really impactful to me. Is like, when we're playing the game, you'll learn these quicker than what we're doing now. Right now, we're looking at essentially a spreadsheet, right? We're like this.
Exactly.
We're looking at text on a screen. It's very different from when you get hit with a debuff and it like absolutely messes your team up. You're like, what does that do? Oh, it does that. I will remember this.
What I'm saying is, like, it's different in a game like Dota or League or even like an MMO, right? Like, having to know in real time what they do outside of us getting like real time arena later, like you can just pause the game in Godforge and be like, all right, well, I just got decimated by this. What the hell just hit me, right? And then I would assume, the normal casual player, after they've gotten hit by it and looked it up, is like, they're like, okay, I know to look out for it, and so it's like, it's not like this constant like, oh my God, like, let me constantly recheck. And I mean, maybe some people are like that. I mean, it is what it is, but normally after, but realistically, after 2-3 times, like, you probably know what everything does. Like,
I think, like, bottom line, we empathize. There's a lot to learn. When we're playing the game, you'll get your hands on it. You'll figure it out, right? And for those of you that might have a harder time, because I have a hard time learning. I need like to learn something like 3, 4, 5 times before it really gets stuck in my head. Like, you've got CCs who will give you really informative videos that can help you to like, get a bit of studying in, and like, hopefully, we've seen the UI improve. So hopefully the UI will improve and we'll have easier ways to display these things as well, so that we can kind of learn. You can learn on the fly quickly. Give me another one.
Let's see. So a lot of them could be like episodes all upon themselves. Like, talk about the different the different archetype. Disrupting. Sopalin wants to talk about disruptors and everything else. Kind of like the Slayer situation where Sage, kind of Sage was talking about Slayers. In my personal opinion, I think defenders and invokers are really well designed. I think every other archetype type needs to be it needs a rework, or it needs to kind of at least some adjustment. So
I'm kind of like, I think brawlers I'm quite happy with as well. They seem to be they get these incremental values right over these longer fights, right? And so I think that they could use a little love, but I think most brawlers I'm quite happy with where they're at. But I agree that I think invokers and defenders,
simply because of you're just stack HP go. Like, I mean,
think of think of someone like your brawler is your inevitability damage dealer, right? If your Slayer's your nuclear warhead that's like trying to cleave through and like cut a team, like Death is the best CC. Yeah. Like Hercules is doing your acid, and then he has the 12 labors for inevitability. You have Dracula that's healing himself and then doing the bleeds for inevitability. You have Grendel, which is doing the CCs, which give you incremental advantage, and then turn resets to get you back to your CC faster. Then execute as well, right? So if a defender team gets low HP but then shield up, they still get executed, right? Because they still meet the execution threshold, I imagine.
Yeah, that's right. We'd assume, right? Like,
we'd assume. Yeah. And when you look at these brawlers, right? They bring these incremental advantages that brawlers should be bringing, right? But
very much attrition based.
Yeah, attrition based, right? And that's what they feel like they should be doing. So I think brawlers are honestly like in that great spot where they're just doing what they need to do. And then I think that invokers and defenders are a little overtuned, and I think that Slayers and disruptors, which are my favorite playstyle, are a little undertuned.
I think go ahead.
I disagree. I disagree. I disagree on the invokers. I think invokers are like they're either like really good or like kind of dookie. I feel like they have real peaks and valleys right now. And I would like to like, if I were to do like a tier list, it's probably like defenders SSS. Like they're insane, and then it's like brawlers just below them. Then then for me it's like invokers and then Slayers, disruptors. I think like I think Adam made a fantastic video about it, but we talked about it too. Like, the best disruptors in the game aren't disruptors right now.
Yeah.
And what does that say about disruptors, right? I mean, even Yan Wang, who just got a recent update, like, in my opinion, he just became a disruptor, but he's not like, he's still kind of inconsistent. And it's like, man, like, why am I bringing this guy instead when I've got, Athena who 100% petrifies on her ult? Why am I not bringing Grendel who has an AoE despair on a 3-turn or 4-turn?
Something like that. And it cycles back with the extra turns, right? Like,
so it's like they're just in a tough spot, man. Like, the wide range of debuffs has not been kind to disruptors, and so it's just hard. But obviously, we've seen it, right? When a disruptor goes out of those bounds, they become very potent. But then they are only really potent in wave content, which I think is okay. I think disruptors should be S tier in wave content, right? Because that's what they're designed for, I think like Slayers are the most lackluster for me. I think like a lot of them are just kind of the milk toast of damage dealers, and we saw that they got outperformed by a single line of text. Like literally, right? A single line of text in the alpha, it outperformed all the Slayers. So like, I hope they do something to bring them more in line. And I think they're doing that, right, with more of these increased damage effects and stacking those. We know they're multiplicative now with each other, which is good. And they were before, but we have more access to various multipliers now, it seems like. So like, let's dive more into that. Let's keep these Slayers on the roll. Like, we're getting there. Keep the snowball rolling down the hill.
It's definitely baby. It's definitely baby steps. So
yeah. I like that, by the way. I like that balance. I like balance like that, I think the fact that it feels bad right now is because we have, nuclear bomb defenders versus coughing baby slayers.
I mean, I put it this way. I would say like that
an adolescent.
I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, talking about Subrog, Heimdall, they all like super solid defenders. But I'm telling you right now, like Apollo, Vivian, Shamash, Quetzal, like don't sleep on the invokers, man. Like by far, probably.
And then you've got Metzley.
Yeah,
and then you've got
it's
got,
not like it's definitely apparent that Fateless love their invokers, right? Because it's
I mean Metzley's bad. Like in my opinion, that's what I'm saying. Like their highs are high, right? But their lows are low, right?
I don't know. I'm telling you, I think that you don't create a character with restored destroyed HP if they're not gonna have something in the game that she's gonna be an all-star in. So it's like I'm still holding out.
Well,
for
how about
Metzley,
this crazy strategy? How about you kill them before they destroy their HP?
Well, I mean that's true, but I mean, you think we're rolling into in stage whatchamacallit, and like I mean, some people will. I mean, if you want to, which I guess that brings us to the next little quick question is, how do we feel about the monetization that we've seen so far in the game, which I don't think we've seen a lot of it. I think there's like a small discussion. It's very clear that it's hard to not speculate that, hey, we're probably just going to have a raid format, you know what I'm saying, or it's close to it. I mean, that's just what happens. All of these guys came from raid. It's proven. You know what I'm saying? If they create
a spade here,
dude, happy if I mean pat them on the back if they can create a whole new economy system for a game, dude, I'll do a backflip. But
I mean, the gotcha space, raid haven't innovated much on the gotcha space. If I'm perfectly honest with the monetization, it's pretty standardized. Here's my thing, and like I'm gonna play devil's advocate a bit here. We know Fateless have spent 14 million, or that's their estimated budget, right? We know Raid spent a lot more. Like, we know this, and
I think they spent 14 million just on marketing, right? Like, it's.
I mean, they spend much more than 14 million on marketing, right? But we also have to acknowledge Raid's prices since its inception have gone up. So, if they are saying we're doing Raid, maybe at 20% less, that's more than Raid at its inception, which to me is like, I can't in good conscience say that that's okay. Personally, they are not an indie company anymore, obviously, but I would consider Raid
they probably
Raid AAA gacha. Yeah, like Raid is like a AAA gacha, I would call it, right?
They're no Hoyoverse or any of that, but they're
we call them a double A.
They're a little adolescent company now, right? They're out of the infant stages, so
I think Godforge prices should. Hello, hey dog. She's a very very very.
She's like, how dare you talk about this?
Yeah, I think Godforge's prices should reflect its place in the industry, which is like. It's a smaller company that is doing its first game, and it is looking to, make some profit, continue the game, and build up community over time, which is what they've stated is their goal. Right? They want this to be a live ops game for a long period, and like keep bringing in consistent revenue. That is their goal. And if they have, if they do raid price even 20% less, I think that is going to be hard for people to stomach, like genuinely. Because,
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, there's going to be the oh my god, we've already seen the raid clone, Temu raid. We've already seen the comparisons, right? So, I mean, I think like coming from like a whale / low end Kraken spender level, like I invest in the people, right? So it's like it's not so much. I believe in the project. So it's like I like Simon, I like Paul, I like Sham, all the guys. I like all the entire Fateless team. I haven't met someone on the Fateless team that I haven't liked or hasn't like been impacted by their enthusiasm and their drive to, to put something out there. And like I said, I was going to talk to Simon. It's like I kind of like I kind of like reminisce because like I went through the same thing when I was releasing my my own TCG. And so it's like, dude, any group of people that come together and put a passion project together, and the game's fun, And it's like, so even if they were raid, I mean, I don't know, I'm gonna be investing into the whatchamacallit. I know, like I said, if it ends up being anywhere near that, I know people are gonna be, they're probably not gonna play, because why would they leave raid that they've been playing for 6 years so they can come here? I mean, very few are gonna do that. So
raid has a suite of content, right? We already know what we're getting pretty much in the alpha. And it's more than what I believe Raid started with, or will be by the time launch happens. But since Raid launched, times have changed. The standards are different now, and what I don't like. I agree with you that like I'm going to spend more in this game than I do in typical gachas, because I believe in the people, I believe in the project.
I think the value proposition, right, is like, are we getting what what we should? Because there's a lot of things that's been cut. Like, we are getting an MVP at the start, and so it's like, and this goes for anybody that's the watching. If you're going to be spending, understand that they've cut some, the what masteries were cut. There's some other things that were cut that have been leaked and or put out with Simon videos and everything else. Like, we're not going to be getting the God Forge. I mean, give them another year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then it's
when we get to official launch, we'll be there. Yeah. But you had like, I hope they take that into account in their monetization and realize like, hey, like, this is your starting point for monetization. If it's like Raid's monetization has gotten significantly more aggressive over time, and that's the trend.
There's back end things that are involved in the economic systems that it is like, every game has them. I mean, it is what it is. Yep. Ultimately, what's going to happen with Fateless is either, at least for this early access MVP product, you're either going to buy into what Simon and Sham and the rest of the founders and the team are like the vision, or you're probably going to you'll play it. You'll spend on be a little bit like most players. You'll spend on the good value packs, and I'm sure there'll be there'll probably a Hell Hades pack calculator for Godforge, so we can see what calculates.
I'm sure we'll have one. Yeah.
I mean, sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure we'll put one out as well. So
it's a good value proposition for what the game is.
Yeah.
Don't rely on the fact that everyone's come from Raid and looks at Raid pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rely on the fact that we are a passionate player base to take advantage of that, because that's how you lose your passionate player base.
Mm-hmm.
Is you take advantage of them until they start seeing that. Be respectful of our time and our money, and we will happily get you back to being a profitable company and long-term players, and focus on keeping your vision alive, which is the vision of community, these Pantheon and Cluster v Cluster content, community content. Because that's the proposition that's keeping me in, right? I've played many matches, right? And I've seen all types of mechanics, right? But that's the thing that is going to bring me in and keep me spending. And yeah, it's monetizations. It's hard. It's a hard topic.
Oh, you said to talk for hours. I mean, and the thing is, we don't know. Like, they haven't come out and like, hey, this is the price of our Ancestral, this is the price of our Eternal, this is the price of our Flawless. And so until we know, like, you can't really solve for X, or you can't solve for the equation unless we know the variables, right?
Yeah.
And so once we get them, it's every game, right? There's like, they come up with a monetization. You're gonna have a contingent of people that is like, oh my God, that's horrible. This is you're ripping people off, pay to win trash, and they never play the game, right? That's gonna happen. That happens with every single gacha. And then you're gonna have the others that are just gonna be like, yeah, I just don't care. I'm just gonna open my wallet, And then you have the people that's like, well, I'm free to play, and then I'm gonna buy our subscriptions. I'm gonna buy our battle passes. I'm gonna buy our, insert whatever monthly model that all these games normally have or whatever else, and they may buy a couple extra packs after that. So you get your $20-$50 a month players, if that. But it's like, as long as
I love track.
Oh, probably.
Yeah. But we're getting, so let's like Janez and Sage, what is like your general opinions on monetization where you think that Godford should be at potentially at launch, or where you hope they're at?
So they have a very talented market analysis guy with Corey, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure Corey knows the best way to extract all the value you can out of a player base, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need them to not do that, right? I need them not to exploit the player base, right? They have the knowledge and tools to do it. And this is something we'll be watching closely, right? This is something I've already made a video on. Monetization, I made a couple actually, and this is what the community is interested, because monetization, it's a zero-sum game. They can only make money if I give them money, right? Every dollar they make is a customer giving them a dollar, right? Now, obviously, there's transaction fees, but that's the idea, right? I need is a value proposition, and I also need the tactics to be, ethically earning money, right? And if that's not the case, that's something I'm going to be covering as well. It's just like, I there's a few things said during that podcast. I don't want to paraphrase because obviously it's very important, but there's a few things during that podcast that were red flags to me, right? That or yellow flags at the very least. Caution, that I have written down and I'm going to be looking for, right? Like that podcast did not inspire confidence into me at all. I'm going to be absolutely frank with you. And obviously, I don't know what's behind closed doors. I don't know anything like that, but I am concerned, right? I am concerned with it. They have a person on staff that knows exactly how to extract every dollar from a customer, right? And so I hope that they take that guy's information and they say, okay, how can we do this ethically, right? Okay, we don't need to extract every dollar. Like, how can we, to get just enough to make money, to make a profit without exploiting our customers, right? And exploiting our player base. And that's what it means to be
losing your player base.
Right? Exactly.
In my opinion, a gacha monetarily, like from a monetization point of view, gets one chance. When they show their monetization, it is going to be very hard for them to come back from that, because that's what you found out. And that's part of the transparency, right? If they say like, hey guys, like this is a bit more aggressive than we want to be, but we need to make some money back so that we can continue program, and we will, with the guarantee that we hit these quarterly goals, we will lower it. Like, I know some people might not like that. I would like that, because it's transparency.
Well, at the end of the day, right? This is not a public company. You cannot buy shares of Fateless. They are not like, it's just like Steam, right? It's just like that they are not a public company. They're not beholden to shareholders. They can make decisions, right? They have all the decision-making tools. So I don't want to hear about quarterly profits. You're a private company, right? Like you don't need to drive up your profit margins. Like greed and money is something I very, very strongly against. And so obviously you need to make your money, and I'm going to be spending money in this game. I'm going to spend more than I usually do, right? But I don't want to see the stuff that only exists to extract more and more money, right? And I think a hidden one is hidden value chain packs. I'm immediately uninstalling, and I'm making a video to tell people to uninstall, because that is absolutely not okay, right? Like, you can have chain packs, but I need to know the dollar amount of every single chain pack along the way, right? And they already said they're going to have these chain offers, right? If they're hidden, I'm not playing, and I'm going to make a video saying I'm not playing and exactly why, and I'm not going to spend any money in the game, and it's as simple as that. Like, and I think the community feels the same way. We've been burnt a lot by Raid. We've been burnt a lot by these other games, and you're right, they have one shot. And like I said, there were some good things in that podcast where I said a lot of red flags. There's a lot of good things too, but there were a lot of like, it's kind of weird you said that, man. Like, Corey, you're very smart, but like, it's a little weird, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I said it's at the jury's out, right? Like,
the jury's out.
Yeah, we won't know until they post it, and that's. I mean, we've been waiting for founders packs for, what I'm saying? Like, they've been hinted at. And
on that founders pack note, the founders pack to me is going to be the biggest indicator. I would argue in every game, the founders pack is the best value that you will ever get in a game.
Outside of that, what, the $1, the $1 first time purchase,
the 99 cents one.
Yeah, it is like, up there with like the best value that you will ever get for a large-ish sum of money. Well, I would consider a larger sum of money, right? Like $50 to $100.
Sure.
And that founders pack will tell us a lot, I think, about what value we're going to get in the game. And like I want to hear what you said, Jada, just so because we're obviously going pretty over here because we're not.
We're at the kind of pretty quick. Yeah, like I said, we talk about monetization. We could be here literally for the next 3-4 hours.
I was about to say well, not the problem, but with monetization as a whole, it's you could literally do a 2-hour episode on monetization alone, right? For me personally, like, we've all played games, of course. We've all played these gacha game types. For me, the ultimate goal is not to worry so much about like the monetization in general, because the thing is that there's always different types of players in every single game, right? Like for me, I'm like a casual, like lowish spender, but for me, Godforge is an exception, sorry, because I just really believe behind the company. I see the vision and I want it to succeed. But there's a reason why there's whales, there's krakens, there's free-to-play players, there's all these different, like, super low spenders, value pack buyers, etc., 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 etc. As I said, you could talk about monetization for hours on end. But for me, if we get an initial, like you were saying, Nine, like roughly, like say, if we just take Braid, for example, as a model, and it's like 20%, 25% less, whatever, right? At the end of the day, this is essentially what it boils down to. People are going to spend money on the game, or they're not going to spend money on the game. Like, and that is like literally it, in my opinion. Of course, you can offer value packs. I know, like, we've been waiting for like these founder packs and stuff like that, and then we can make forecasts off of, right, so if this is X, then this is probably going to be Y, blah blah blah. But we don't know at the moment. So of course, it's all speculation, right? But for me, as a player, as long as I have the perceived value, or at least offers me the value that I need for my account to progress, then sure, I'll drop a few bucks here or there, or buy like this, or battle passes and stuff like that. They're proven to work for, well, they give you so much extra stuff, and premium. Then have like the premium pass, etc., etc., etc. Subscriptions, whatever they may or may not be. People will just like impulse buy them and stuff like that. And of course, to go back, say, to roughly what you're saying with Corey, and that I don't want to beat around the bush and stuff like that. And it's the same with every single game. There's for these huge multi-million-dollar companies, they're going to have like psychologists and stuff that are looking how to literally get every single penny out of a person, right? So it's just the way it is, unfortunately. And with the gachas, of course, there's pop-ups every like or let's say Raid, for example, like lightning offer, like you must buy this. This is your one-time chance to buy this. Like, it's all predatory stuff, right? We all seen it. We've all experienced it. But ultimately, as long as they can get the value correct for the player and understand that they are, I wouldn't say like the meme, like small indie company, but they are obviously passionate at what they do. They are creating this passion project. So I just hope that the corporate greed side of things doesn't take over from that, and they just remain true to their values.
Bottom line is respect.
Yeah, I mean,
like, respect us as your players.
Because
you want us to be long-term customers. They've stated that they want to be here in 10 years, right? They want Godforge specifically to be here in 10 years. The only way you do that is through respecting your customers and respecting their time and their funds.
Yep,
exactly. And also the transparency. Sorry, Paul.
No, you're good.
The transparency that they do have. And I also like, just even in general, just being a part of like in the server, for example, like just seeing like messages from like Simon just pop up and stuff like that, and Dan and Sham very rarely, but and stuff like that, and having all of this involvement from like effectively the founders of the company as well. That for me is just a really, really nice thing. So that would incentivize me to maybe spend a few extra bucks, but that's just because I believe in Godforge and I want it to succeed. But that's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I think ultimately at the end of the day, we're just going to keep it short because we've hit that 1 hour and 30, and I see Sage back there falling asleep in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen.
No, I'm not falling asleep. I'm just deep in thought.
He's like,
right.
Not.
Yeah.
So as ultimately, like, I've been through the same thing. Like, how do we pricing a booster pack, pricing a starter deck, booster box. You know what I'm saying? It's like, at the end of the day, Fateless will not be able to please everybody 100%. It just will not happen. It is impossible, right? So they just need to find that happy medium to where it's like, hey, we're making decent money here, but we're not like it's going to, like, all gotchas are predatory. Like, you can't sit there and say that a gotcha is not predatory. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, it's like that's why they're called gotchas, right? They're inherently predatory. It's just as long as they don't go above and beyond that line, then it's like you start to. Regardless of how transparent or a part of the community you are with your player base, like once you really step over that line, like most people are like, well, there's 15 other gotchas that are releasing here in the next 4 or 5 months. We're just gonna go play those.
And so I think Raid, right? Yeah, like when they've stepped over the boundary, they thought, oh, let's give a little oops, sorry, an oops, sorry, we went a bit too far.
But
I think the big, like, I think of like Magic the Gathering Arena, right? Where it's like that buying packs in Arena is very, very expensive.
Oh yeah.
However, it is extremely clear what you're getting. It is extremely clear what it costs. Obviously, there's the you have to pay money to gems and then gems to packs, but like it is extremely clear what you're getting, and you only get exactly what you need. There's not these weird mix and match packs either, right? And so for me, I can go in and be like, okay, I would like to do so many drafts, and I would like to do so many, I'd like to get the battle pass. And I know exactly how much money I spend for those goals, and it's very, very clear. And I think that clarity matters much, much more to me than the price value, right? Like that's where I'm drawing the line. It's like these invisible chain packs are like the opposite of clarity, right? And that's the stuff here that's like disrespectful. Right. That's the kind of shady stuff. Like, even more than value proposition, I would say. Like, that's the stuff that's like, I think that Magic the Gathering does very well. It's like, here's exactly the cost.
Yeah.
Do you want to pay? Like, are you a whale that can afford to buy 1,000 packs? Like, go ahead. Yeah, right. That's fine. Here's the cost. Oh, hey, you want to draft? Here's what it costs to draft, right? And that's it.
Yeah.
And so I think that I want a very similar monetization style in Godforge, where it's like, it's very clear, this is what you're getting, and that's how much it costs to get it.
Yeah, especially like there's been some gotchas. I won't call them. I mean, where they've done the chain packs, and it's like you're ascending a character or whatever else, and it's like, well, you technically can't get to that third ascension if you don't buy the third hidden pack, and it's like because you miss out on like 1 or 2 consumables or whatever else, and it's like
hidden packs are like the worst too, man. Where it's like I gotta go do this chore I'm not supposed to know about to like unlock something that I want to buy. Like I saw it too in Epic 7 in 7 Nights, where it's like there's this pack that shows up that's okay value, but it only shows up when you pull a legendary. So it's like, oh, I have a legendary, I want to level up, and I would be willing to buy this pack, but I have to go pull another legendary to get the pack I want to buy. That kind of stuff, that's not gonna be enough maybe for instant quit the game example, but like that, that's kind of like the one of those yellow flags where it's like, come on, like don't make me do these hidden in-game tasks to be able to purchase what I want from your shop.
Yeah. Well, we're at an hour and 30 something minutes now, so we've been, like I said, we kind of went all over the place, talked about a whole bunch of different things that everybody kind of wanted us to kind of like touch on. we'll definitely do it. I know Lako was kind of busy. Taz was busy. Some of the other guys, they're definitely wanting to get on. Yeah, if you guys, I guess we'll end it here. There's plenty of things that we can talk about in the next episode. If you have any topics you want us to discuss or whatever else, feel free to make whatever comments you have. Like, we're hopping to Discord. Lord knows it's been a very popular place lately. But yeah, we'll put the Discord link down on the bottom. Check out Sage's videos on monetization, all the new videos. And then, yeah, I guess if you guys don't have any other, you guys have any other parting words? Oh, by the way, the mini game, guys, like, there's February 20th it ends. So it's like, I'm sure by the time this gets like in post-production and posted, you probably have your 20 days to get, everything chosen. So make sure that you don't skip the mini game. Simon and them didn't have to do that for us. It is a huge, massive, like, screw the whole monetization talk. You get a chance to get free legendaries across the board, weapons, imprints, and gods, and go curse totem squad, right? I don't know about you guys. We didn't talk about portraits, but yeah, don't pass it up, guys. It's probably the best thing that you're going to get. So, but with that, if you're looking for a home, you can always apply to the Hivemind. There's other great pantheons out there from a bunch of different content creators. Check out the recruitment channel on the main Discord. Find you a home, guys. Yeah, with that, if you guys don't have anything else, I think we can just kind of end it there, and then I can scream at Papa Tez to save us in the post-production, because I'm sure our audio has been all over the place.
Yeah, been a good one.
All right, awesome, guys. Well, this is the guys from the Hivemind signing off, episode 3-ish, 4-ish, whatever it is at this point. So y'all take it easy. It's been a great time. Stay warm for all the guys here in the U.S. And yeah, we'll catch you next time. Feed the dog. Yeah. Later, 9.
God.